Hi, my name is Aaron Arnold. I'm a Senior Associate Fellow with RUSI Center for Financial Crime and Security Studies. Prior to joining RUSI in October, I served on the UN panel of experts for North Korea sanctions, where I was responsible for investigating how North Korea evades international sanctions. Although global trade and commerce has slowed under COVID, North Korea's sanctions evasion efforts have not. The country has continued to finance its ballistic missile and nuclear weapons programs through its overseas labor networks, cyber attacks against banks and cryptocurrency exchange houses, and has continued to trade in restricted commodities. While North Korea continues to adapt and innovate, seeking out jurisdictions with weak anti-money laundering rules, regulations, and enforcement, many states are failing to meet their international obligations. It's been nearly a decade since the Financial Action Task Force added counter-proliferation financing to its core mandate. And although there's been a great deal of progress during that time in terms of identifying proliferation financing risks, significant gaps do remain. A new RUSI report titled Assessing the Global Response to Proliferation Financing by Tom Keating and Emil Dahl takes stock of where countries have made progress and what still needs to be done. The report highlights that only 50% of countries have been deemed compliant or largely compliant with the Financial Action Task Force's recommendation number 7, while 20% are rated as not compliant. The authors find that awareness of proliferation financing risk varies considerably between countries, and even where proliferation financing risks are high, perhaps due to geographic proximity to a proliferation threat like North Korea, sensitivity to this risk is often low. The report concludes by offering several pragmatic recommendations to ensure that the Financial Action Task Force's regional bodies are empowered and equipped to provide adequate guidance, prioritize the requirement to conduct national proliferation financing risk assessments, and promote lessons learned from those countries who have already undergone national risk assessments.
Hi, I'm Sasha Erskine and I'm a research analyst with the Centre for Financial Crime and Security Studies here at RUSI in London, where my research primarily focuses on counter-proliferation finance and sanctions. Recently, Emil Dahl and myself published a paper looking at the regulation and supervision of the DNFPP, that is, Designated Non-Financial Businesses and Professions sector. This paper sought to look at how the DNFPP sector remained unsupervised and unregulated, particularly when contrasted with the financial sector, which in recent years we have seen become increasingly more regulated and integrated as compliance efforts to bolster counter-proliferation finance efforts continue. The DNFPP sector includes high-value goods dealers, dealers in precious metals and stones, the real estate sector, gatekeeping sectors. This can include lawyers and accountants, as well as the trust and company service provider sector, and then finally the casino and gambling sector. This emerging insights paper considers how the DNFPP sector has been exploited by North Korea, particularly as the compliance and financial sector has become increasingly more regulated and in line with counter-proliferation finance efforts. In order to look at how the DNFPP sector remained exposed to North Korean proliferation financing efforts, we conducted an overview of all UN Panel of Experts reports published looking at DNFPP exposure to proliferation finance by North Korea since 2006.
My name is Allison Owen and I'm a research analyst at RUSI, focusing on cryptocurrency and the use of cryptocurrency to evade sanctions. North Korea has been responsible for large-scale hacks of virtual asset service providers and moves ransomware payments through various techniques to obfuscate the source of the criminal proceeds. A new report by Kayla Eisenman aims to provide recommendations on best practice compliance for virtual asset service providers to mitigate these PF activities. By walking through the general structure of the compliance cycle, Kayla defines the pre-requirements before customer interaction, the onboarding process, and ongoing monitoring throughout the client relationship. This report includes red flags that could lead to enhanced due diligence, mostly focusing on North Korea, but also including other criminal virtual asset activity. It is necessary for virtual asset service providers to train staff on cybersecurity measures to prevent them from working on behalf of proliferators. If virtual asset service providers work to have the best practice for compliance, these PF-associated risks can be mitigated.
Although the international community continues to make progress when it comes to preventing the financing of proliferation, North Korea's actions demonstrate that there's still much to be done. At RUSI, our global program of capacity building and technical assistance aims to support and strengthen international sanctions implementation efforts. We have delivered our Countering Proliferation Financing curriculum to more than 80 jurisdictions with participants from both public and private sectors. Our curriculum seeks to raise awareness of proliferation financing risks, typologies, and international obligations. Our ongoing research efforts provide pragmatic guidance, solutions, and recommendations to government and industry partners. These papers and resources can be found on the RUSI website.